Picasso had a saying, he said, "Good artists copy, great artists steal."
When I heard this advice, I became really excited to steal. And with the help of procrastination, I successfully wasted the next 2 years. But then I decided I would draw. And when I actually did, I thought it would be smooth to create my own art. But I got stuck in a loop of inspiration and questions like, after all, what's the recipe to create your own art? Is stealing the only thing? At least someone created it first. And if so, then how did he or she create it? These questions roamed in my mind throughout the whole day and even at night, but then I saw this. Basquiat felt completely original. Something unique, but what is it? And if it's original, then what about the advice we all hear as artists? Great artists steal. So Basquiat must have been stealing something. What was it? When you look at his paintings a little closer, you'll notice that his art has a lot of symbols, and many of them came from a book called Henry Dreyfuss's Symbol Sourcebook. When you look at this book, it almost feels like a dictionary of symbols that Basquiat used in his artworks. The symbols, the source. Is that the only thing needed to create your own art? No, not at all. Because having a bunch of words together doesn't mean you have a novel. It's about something he wanted to say, the message. I know some artists today don't really connect with abstract art. And of course, we often don't feel a connection. Why? Because of the message, that thought, that opinion, which holds most of the impact in a painting. When we look at Frida Kahlo's artworks, we all see and feel something. That something is the message, the thought. Frida Kahlo was a surrealist, but she didn't paint dreams. She painted her life, the pain she felt. And her paintings hold that pain. We can feel it too. So is it just about collecting more and more art, creating a collection of artworks you admire, and then putting your own message behind them? No, because there's one thing that separates us from God-tier artists.
And then just work like hell. I mean, you just...
Wait. This was about art, right? So how can we take advice from someone in science and entrepreneurship? Because it's not just about paintings, films, songs, or any one form of art. It's about something needed in everything: speed. This isn't something only Basquiat had. Every great artist had it.
In fact, to stop thinking.
If we look at Van Gogh, he was a master of this. Now, I don't want to set the wrong example and say we should focus on quantity over quality. If that were true, the Mona Lisa wouldn't exist. And I'm also not going to tell you to force yourself to make art when you don't feel like it. I know a lot of things are getting mixed up right now, so let's simplify this by looking at something. You see, Van Gogh didn't just take ideas, he literally copied them. In Hiroshige's Rain on the Bridge, Van Gogh copied it almost exactly. After experimenting with many Japanese ukiyo-e prints, he slowly discovered his own style, line by line, and his artwork still had a message, that feeling that's needed. And most importantly, speed. This speed doesn't come from forcing yourself. It comes from happiness, from fun, from being carefree about whether someone will like it or not. Because that's when you realize, after 100 or 200 years, this artwork might hang in a gallery, or maybe end up in a thrift store. But what makes it precious is your process of making art. And this doesn't apply only to painting. It applies to all forms of art. It's the will and joy in the process that make art memorable. And most of the time, this speed leads to two things. First, you get better and better at your art every time. Second, art created from genuine feeling tends to impact a larger audience. Take Basquiat again. His art was fast. He painted himself with Warhol using a Polaroid photo and gave it to him the same day. Even Warhol was shocked. The paint wasn't even dry. It wasn't force. But when needed, you have to force it. Wait, let me show you something. Hayao Miyazaki, he works a lot. He is working there with chaotic thoughts about ideas, a dustbin full of waste drafts. But he is there, still working. Now take Guernica by Pablo Picasso, one of the most impactful paintings of the 20th century. This painting carries pain and suffering, not just from the Guernica bombing, but from all wars and the cost they place on humanity. Picasso admired Peter Paul Rubens. If we look at Rubens's allegory showing the effects of war, we can see clear inspiration. The weeping woman holding a child appears again in Guernica, her eyes shaped like tears. The use of cubism intensifies the pain. The chaotic force of war, a woman facing the heavens with outstretched arms. Picasso didn't pull inspiration from just one source. The flying fury can be traced back to Proudhon's allegory of justice. And again, speed. Picasso completed Guernica in just 35 days, even though it's 11 feet by 26 feet. You can see his process clearly if you study it closely. Now take The Lion King, a legendary Disney movie. But stealing isn't the problem, because even Hamlet was inspired by Amleth, which itself is believed to be inspired by a lost play called Hamlet, not just Hamlet. Romeo and Juliet was inspired by the tragical history of Romus and Juliet by Arthur Brooke, and Brooke adapted it from a French translation by Pierre Boistuau, which itself came from Matteo Bandello's Italian novella. So it's not about original ideas, or who created something first, or how they created it. It's about your art, because it carries feelings, stories, and thoughts that only you can have. And when you trace any form of art back far enough, you'll always find a chain of inspiration. That's why it finally makes sense when Steve Jobs says,
Picasso had a saying, he said, good artists copy, great artists steal.